Hey guys, it's Danny B here. I hope you enjoyed this weekend of great racing we saw from all the different series, whether it be the 3 NASCAR series, the Formula One GP at Monaco, or the Indy 500 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Whatever your favorite was this weekend, I hope you guys enjoyed everything. My personal favorite, as I think a lot of others' personal favorite, was this year's 2022 Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. By far, probably the most entertaining Coke 600 we've seen in a lot of years. This race really had it all. Whether it was the big crashes, and like it or not, that appeals to a large number of NASCAR fans. Whether it be the parity of different drivers we saw competitive and in the top 10. We saw so many drivers looking like they had a legitimate chance to win this. And it just had a lot of big storylines in it. I enjoyed really the great battle we saw right at the end between Chase Briscoe and Kyle Larson. Chase Briscoe, much like he did at Bristol Motor Speedway, gave it all that he had and ultimately come up short by spinning himself out going into the turn on with 2 laps to go. I think it was two laps to go. Then we saw a great overtime finish, and I thought Austin Dillon was going to sneak in and win himself a second Coke 600, but you know, it wasn't meant to be there. Chastain, Larson ended up getting contact. And in the end, it was Denny Hamlin who got the pole award for the race. And while he kind of wasn't seen throughout the entirety of the race, he won. And that put him up a little bit closer to the all-time wins list. But just overall, a lot of people would say this was just great racing. We saw passes being made. Don't let it be clouded in all of the cautions that we saw. There was a lot of hardcore, good racing, good battles we saw in this race. And it's refreshing. You know, I think the week before we got done talking about how bad that Texas Motor Speedway was for the All-Star race. And then after this one, a similar 1.5-mile track, we're kind of saying the exact opposite. Most people would argue that they enjoyed what they saw in this year's Coke 600. In fact, I got a few stats I want to read off for you guys. So according to Jeff Gluck, he tweeted out, "Was the Coke 600 a good race?" And according to his poll he usually puts out after each race, 90.6% of you said yes. This made this the 22nd member of the 90% club, meaning that this received a grade of 90% or better. So only 22 races have received that grade out of 240 races that he has polled. He even said 2022 already has 4 90% plus races, tied for the most of any year when the poll started back in 2016. All 4 in 2022 were intermediates. Number 2 Charlotte Oval in poll of all time. The 2019 All-Star race at 90.8% was only ahead of this one. Another interesting stat here I want to point out that my lovely wife sent over to me. It was also pointed out that of the 6 races classified as intermediate style racing so far in 2022, 5 have at least had a grade of 86%. The only one not in that group was Texas Motor Speedway. So look, after reading all those stats, after hearing from a lot of fans and their opinions on this weekend's race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, an answer is clear that NASCAR's 2022 car works really well on intermediate style tracks, with the exception of Texas Motor Speedway. The racing was just not the same, and the fact that these 2 races went back to back was honestly a good thing for NASCAR to see, because the difference in racing was clear, despite, if you just look down at both tracks, they look very similar to one another. But it's very clear that the way that track has been handled over the last few years, this just doesn't work anymore. Texas Motor Speedway needs a change. And I think Charlotte is perfect. This is a perfectly executed track for the next gen car to run on that we've seen, at least. Most of the intermediate races with the next gen car have been phenomenal this season. So it's really got me wondering, is the Coke 600 all that we need to see standard Charlotte for? Here's my thought. People want to see Charlotte raced as Charlotte. People don't necessarily want to see Texas Motor Speedway. Now bear with me here. Do we need the Roval to be at Charlotte Motor Speedway? Now, I like the Roval idea, and it has put on some decent races with some huge storylines. We've seen, obviously, Jimmy and Martin Truex Jr. spin out, and Ryan Blaney goes on to win. We've seen Chase Elliott wreck and then go on to win the race again. And, well, last year we saw the little intimidation from Chase Elliott to Kevin Harvick. So a lot of storylines have been made via the Roval. But does the Roval itself have to be at Charlotte Motor Speedway? Could it, in theory, be transferred to Texas Motor Speedway? Now, I'm not saying we need to run the All-Star race at Texas Motor Speedway, but why not make Texas a road course state? We've already got Circuit of the Americas over in Austin, Texas out there, but until they can figure out how to make a good race on the oval over there again, why not consider the idea of returning Charlotte Motor Speedway to being a traditional oval for when we go back to NASCAR's home city, and why not go to the Roval configuration at Texas Motor Speedway? And it certainly does have an area in the inside. If you've ever looked at it before on a map, it has an area that could be utilized as a road course area. It doesn't really necessarily have the big entranceway from the front straightaway that they have over at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but it does have an area on the backstretch that could be utilized as a road course race. So that would get rid of obviously the backstretch, and it would turn into more, you go into the track there and you come out. Maybe you'd want to do the turf idea that they did at Charlotte Motor Speedway to make a little chicane at the front of it, so you're not carrying too much speed as you come through, come out of turn 3 and 4 and go for the front straightaway, because that would be kind of dangerous to have that much speed as you're coming back onto the back straightaway. So maybe, just maybe, if we need to really shake things up within SMI, because they do own the same tracks, and they could make this decision if they wanted to, but I'm just wondering, why not consider it? Why not consider taking the Roval configuration and moving that to Texas Motor Speedway and giving us back 2 oval dates at Charlotte Motor Speedway? I like the idea. Of course, I'm just a NASCAR fan. I'm just I can comment on what I think, what I like, what I don't like about NASCAR. At the end of the day, that decision has to come down to people at NASCAR and SMI. So from one fan's perspective, I'm just throwing out the idea to you guys. Why not? It's time for a change of Texas. I think Charlotte has proved that it can survive as an oval and put on good racing again. Because really all the races this weekend were pretty solid. But the Cup race, man, that was good. That was absolute solid. That was probably the most enjoyable long race I've ever watched. And it was long. With all the cautions and red flag periods, it was definitely one of the I think it was the longest NASCAR race ever. I think they actually said that during the broadcast. It was the longest NASCAR race ever, but it didn't feel boring. The All-Star race was definitely much shorter at Texas Motor Speedway, and I definitely didn't enjoy it. Even both races had a pretty big crash. You got to remember Ross Chastain nearly flipping over Kyle Busch at the All-Star race, but even that wasn't enough excitement for me, in my opinion. I really enjoyed what we saw as an overall product at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. I would love to see more of that and less of what we saw with Texas Motor Speedway. That'll be interesting because we've had a chance to see 2 intermediate tracks back to back. One was enjoyable, one was not enjoyable. Now we're going to go to Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway over in Illinois. I will be at this weekend's race. I'll be there for the Truck Series event and the Cup Series event. We do have media credentials for this weekend, so stay tuned here to DannyBTalks. We'll be giving you guys some great weekend coverage as you've seen in the past over at Bristol Motor Speedway and Atlanta Motor Speedway. We've been able to kind of give you guys some interviews from drivers, some behind the scenes looks. We do intend to do all of that from this weekend's race at Gateway, and we do still have some more content that has been delayed, but it's going to be coming out very soon from our weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway a couple months ago. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to try to get that released to you guys this week. It's a little, kind of enjoy this as I'm going to Gateway. So until next time, thanks for watching today's video. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to DannyBTalks for more great NASCAR motorsports content here on my channel. And let me know down in the comments, do we need the Roval to necessarily be at Charlotte Motor Speedway? Could we move it? Could we go back to 2 oval dates at Charlotte? Leave your thoughts down below. Until next time, hope you guys have a great day. Bye, guys. Hey, race fans. Thanks for watching this video from DannyBTalks. If you're new to my channel, please be sure to hit subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss another video from my channel.